following a lot of companies, they're also trying to inch back here and get back to business. I told you about Tesla wanting to reopen a plant right now where a lot of restrictions are still in effect. And besides just the states that are doing this, we're also seeing that a lot of them have taken precautions now to sort of hoard their cash. That's going to be a very, very, very big theme right now for a lot of companies that are trying to find any way and every way to hang on to that money, whether it means in the case of GM and a host of others that are looking to scale back dividends, others looking to go ahead and hang on to as much cash as possible. If it means selling some stock to do that, there are at least a dozen prominent names that are in that mix. Let's get the read from Rebecca Walser right now, Walser Wealth Management. When you suspend a dividend, of course, you're really grasping at this point, I guess, Rebecca, for harnessing all the money you have available, but it could also frighten off potential investors who like that cash. How do you see this going in the weeks ahead?
Yeah, Neil, you're 100% right. So obviously, with the actual factories being closed and a lot of costs being sunk, for example, with Tesla, it costs them $300 million a week of cash burn to not be open. So GM is no exception with us not producing cars and people not working. They're just, it is a cash burn. So obviously a dividend cut or a dividend saying suspension, if you will, is going to restore some of the capital that would otherwise be going out. And obviously them saying that they're not going to continue with their stock repurchase plan right now, although they did make a point, Neil, to say that they still are committed to having 20% reinvestment even this year back into the company. So this could be a short-term thing, but obviously it does make investors, get spooked a little bit.
Were you surprised, Rebecca, hearing out of Governor Cuomo? I wasn't shocked by it, but not the staggered opening for New York. I get that upstate is largely rural, not so impacted by what has been happening in the concentration of cases downstate, which includes the New York metropolitan area, but that he could push back, presumably for that metropolitan area, the May 15th so-called deadline where we would keep these home restrictions and these distancing restrictions in effect, maybe beyond that. That essentially delays Wall Street essentially reopening. Now, we've done a lot, virtually, and the very fact that we're trading and doing what we're doing and companies still report, I get that. But what do you think the impact of that would be?
Neil, I have to say, I really am starting to have a big problem with this from an economic perspective. I mean, I really feel at first we had to stop and listen to the medical science professionals and say, okay, this is a brand new disease, a virus. We don't know the impact. We don't know the spread rate. We don't know the R naught, which is the, the multiplication rate of the spread. And all of those things were unknown. And we had the University of Washington study that came out that showed these unbelievable 1 to 2 million Americans potentially passing away. And so clearly, exactly strong actions had to be taken. But now the data and the science that's coming out is letting us know that that study is not correct and the numbers are very off. And in fact, I read several articles this weekend by medical professionals and scientists that say that this gross total stay at home could actually impugn our ability to deal with this virus because nobody is being exposed. And so we have so little people that are actually able to withstand an actual, encounter with it and without getting sick. So if we're actually doing the opposite of what we should be doing, listen, this is the fact. We cannot have our country and run an economy if we cannot get back to work. And that is the bottom line. And you talk about all these states that are going to go and seek bailouts from the federal government. And what is the federal government supposed to come up with this tax revenue? Where is the money coming to the federal government? The government creates nothing, Neil. The government simply transfers from those that produce money to those that do not produce money. And they're very good at doing that. That's called taxation. But we have to have an economy running in order to actually, charge people taxes. So I think that if the science is wrong, and apparently it's been wrong this entire time, let's really start to question these truly strict, almost barbaric, stay at home and do not work at all and close down your whole country. It is time that we have to have the science question this because this is economic suicide, Neil. It's economic suicide, and we cannot get this economy back unless we get back to work.
That is well put. Rebecca, always good catching up with you. Thank you very, very much. By the way, what Rebecca was mentioning was something that Peter Navarro, the White House, thank you, Rebecca, the White House trade policy advisor, had told me over the weekend on my